very open to the right fit personal training and wellness. Perhaps you've been rooting through your fridge these days looking for a healthy snack or some sort of snack. Something that's slightly sweet, chewy, crunchy, or with that full fat feeling, and you've been coming up empty. Today I'd like to walk you through a beautiful recipe that's nourishing, healthy, meets with your fitness and health goals, and it's very simple. You're going to put dry and wet ingredients together. You're going to be able to store this little protein bar in the freezer or the fridge, and it's going to be there when you need it. I'd like to get started with preparing the pans. So I'm using a small pan today, but I've also got the larger pan, which I've already prepped with parchment paper. And it's really up to you as to how thick you would like your bar, so your choice. How I've prepped this particular one is I've taken a piece of parchment paper, PaperChef of course, and I've wet it and just shaken off the extra or the excess water so that it molds beautifully into my pan, and I'm ready to use that. I'm going to just show you how to do that with the next pan. So I'll put this to the side. And first of all, I have a wonderful parchment paper dispenser, which I will be actually giving one of these away at the end of this session. I'll give you more details in a moment. But it's a beautiful way to just slice the exact amount of parchment paper off in a nice, clean, one, smooth kind of way. So you have exactly the right dimensions. And then we're going to just wet it. So I'm just going to put it in a basin of water. Shake out the excess water. You can run it under the tap. And then just simply press it into the pan. It'll mold whatever container that you would like to store things in beautifully. Perfect, ready to go. It's going to dry a little bit while we're combining the other ingredients, and it doesn't have to be perfect because the ingredients are going to act like a paperweight once we get started. So I'm going to put that off to the side for the moment, and we're going to start with our dry ingredients today. You're going to need 1 cup of pumpkin seeds. Pumpkin seeds are full of zinc, which is really important to fight infection and just to strengthen your immune system at this time. And so we're just going to open the food processor and just simply pour them in. So hemp seeds for your omega-3s and also fiber, so you've got some good fats here, and also protein. And then protein powder. So I've used hemp protein powder as well, both Manitoba products, so hemp hearts are Manitoba products, and as well as the protein powder is as well. Chia seeds for your omega-3s, and also fiber. So these are quite filling when liquid, any kind of liquid is added to them. So there's your satisfaction right there with your snack. And then finally coconut, and I've used unsulphured medium grind coconut. Just going to pour that in. And so we have all our dry ingredients ready to go. So I'm just going to turn the food processor on and not over-process it too much. So we just want to pulse it, probably 6 or 7 times. We do want a bit of texture at the end of all of this, so just pulsing. And you can decide how much texture you still like, but we're going to run it through one more time once the wet ingredients are in. So again, just going soft is the way to go. You can't unpulse something. I'm just going to put that in a bowl and put them off to the side, put it off to the side for the moment. There's no need to clean the food processor in between because our wet ingredients are going in. It's all going to be mixed. It is all, we're not mixing savory and sweet here, so all good. Just going to put that off to the side for the moment and then start on our wet ingredients. So we are adding the dates. So I've got Medjool dates, which I've taken the pits out. I always count the pits to make sure they're all out. And I'm just going to distribute them in the food processor so they don't get too lumpy with each other. So I've used organic Medjool dates, and in fact most of the things I've used today are organic. If you can't get these particular items, and some of the brands I've used are Organic Traditions, Prana, Elan, and Manitoba Hemp. Go for non-GMO. So if you want your seeds to be gluten-free, if you are minding your gluten, and having something non-GMO and pure is a great way to start any recipe. And so I've put all the dates in, and then I'm just going to pour coconut oil in. So I've got 1/3 of a cup of coconut oil. I've got 20 Medjool dates, and then I'm going to pour 1/2 cup of raw cacao powder and a little bit of vanilla. So I'm going to use a teaspoon, roughly measured. And if you love the taste of vanilla, you can just put a little bit more in. I'm using Spice Trader vanilla extract, fantastic, ethically sourced, which is also very important to me when I'm using raw ingredients. So I'm going to put that off to the side and process the wet ingredients now. So this could take a little longer, and you may need to scrape the sides of the bowl as you go. And you want to have, because you have the raw cacao powder inside, you want to put your hand over top to make sure it doesn't spray all over. So bear with me. To scrape the sides, make sure you've got all the raw cacao powder in there, and just balance the contents so that it actually is able to process smoothly. Smell of the coconut is just fabulous. So you've got your raw cacao for antioxidants, you've got your good fats, and the sweetener comes in the form of Medjool dates. They're non-GMO, they're gluten-free, and they are organic, and your body can process the fiber, so they're full of calcium, full of fiber, and it's a great way to get your sweet fix by having whole food instead of syrups. Time, and if you're doing this with a fork, you can, if you don't have a food processor. It's just going to take a little bit longer, but you're looking for that beautiful caramelized, caramelly kind of texture. And so we're almost ready to go here. We're going to add the dry ingredients back in carefully. And you could actually put this in a bowl and stir it up, adding wet to dry ingredients, and that would be absolutely fine. But I'm going to just put it back through the food processor and mix it just enough. So you'll see that it'll ball together. So if you've ever made, for example, raw balls, it's a good way to tell if you are ready is when it starts to kind of just come together in a texture that can be easily spread out. Not too wet, not too dry. I've got 2 more ingredients. I've got 2 tablespoons of poppy seeds. Now poppy seeds are the surprise of the day because they help you with sleeplessness and anxiety. And they also they have manganese, boron, of your recommended dietary intake of fiber. So the poppy seeds alone are going to add a nice little fiber boost. So I'm just going to sprinkle them in. You could stir these in, put this in a bowl and stir them in. I'm just going to go the food processor route today and for expedience. And then I have quinoa flakes. And you could use oatmeal. Quinoa flakes are gluten-free, which is why I use them. And they just suit me. I can digest them a little bit better. But please feel free to swap in any of these ingredients for ingredients that you personally like. And that's what, you know, making food is all about, is it's really up to your taste to craft a recipe. And you can, again, it's tough times right now to find all the ingredients. If you're struggling at all, please don't worry. You can swap in just about any of these ingredients for other ones. You could use goji berries. You could, instead of the vanilla, you could actually go with perhaps an almond extract or another flavoring, maple syrup. So don't be afraid to just get in there and make it your own. So I'm just going to stir that in a little bit, and just a couple of pulses, and we're ready to pour that into the pan. Beautiful. You just want the quinoa flakes to be mixed in. And we're ready to pour that into the pan now. So again, we've prepared 2 pans here, and it depends on, again, what size you would like your bars to be. So I'm going for the thick and meaty size right now, and we're just going to just basically pour this in. Try to distribute it somewhat into the pan so that your pressing is made a little bit easier. Now with a smaller pan, I could actually save a little bit for another pan, for a smaller pan, or eat it with a spoon, your choice. And in fact, I'm just going to use that amount and reserve this for a little personal size one for my friend Bill. So I'm going to put that to the side. And then you can use a spoon or a spatula, doesn't matter which, but just pressing it from the middle outwards. The edges do not have to be perfect, although you kind of want a nice clean edge so that when you're cutting it, they don't fall apart. I'm going to press it out nice and neat towards the edges. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect, but depends on your standards. So I'm going to put this into the fridge now. Put it in the freezer as well. Put it in the fridge for about 30 minutes, and it will start to bind together. So when you cut it, it actually stays quite firm. You can keep the recipe in, you can keep your protein bars. I like to wrap mine in parchment paper, of course, PaperChef, and I like to wrap them in individually so that the family or yourself aren't tempted to get carried away with just taking a knife and making an afternoon of it. So it's kind of nice to have them all neatly wrapped in little packets. I put those inside a freezer bag inside the freezer, and then I'm ready to go. Post-workout, pre-workout, in between, that afternoon snack, peckish time when you are looking again for something satisfying and hopefully something nourishing. So I'm just going to show you what that looks like. Get in there with your hand if it makes a difference to get that a little smoother. And I'm just going to tip it up towards you so that you can see it's already mostly solid. I would cut that in nicely shaped bars. Now I like to cut small ones and larger ones so that if I just need a little bite of something, I have it and I'm not tempted to overeat it or eat it just because that's the size of the bar. Or you can cut larger ones and have a bite here and a bite there when you're working or as you need. I just want to say a word about PaperChef Parchment Paper. It's one of my biggest kitchen hacks, and you can use it in so many different ways, to line pans, to actually just be a non-stick cooking surface. So it helps keep clean. So when I'm ready, keeps things clean. When I'm ready to actually remove this, it comes out beautifully, and there's very minimal washing involved. And the beauty is again, you can wrap these little bars in it. It keeps in the freezer. It keeps in just about every situation. And when you're finished with the parchment paper, it can just simply go into the compost bin. So once again, I'm going to be giving away one of these beautiful dispensers, parchment paper dispensers. Inside the dispenser is 205 feet of parchment paper, so that'll keep you going for a while in your endeavors. So if you are ready to go on that, all you need to do is complete this recipe. I'll be putting out the particulars after this video as to what you'll need to make it. And so I recognize there's time needed for shopping. So I'd like you to post to my Instagram, so Lori Hoban, Lorihobin, the right fit, and post it, tag me on it, and tag also PaperChef with your endeavors. I'm sure they're going to be great. It's tasty, it's satisfying, again, it's nourishing, and it really doesn't take too long to make. Thank you so much for joining me today. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe.